Stop learning new things as a developer. Stop. You're making a huge mistake. Okay? Let's get into it. It's your boy Joe back at it again, CodingPhase.com. Today we about to give you guys with nothing but gems. This is probably the one thing that you needed to hear, but no one ever told you. So let's get into it. Okay? So don't learn new things. That's simple. Stop learning new things. And I'm going to tell you why, right? So when you are trying to get a job, you need to focus on one ecosystem. I see people trying to jump from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing. And that's not going to help you guys out at all, okay? You're actually wasting time and prolonging your success of getting into the industry, okay? And I'm going to break it down for you guys. It's very simple. Once you find this system, right, this one ecosystem that you're going to focus on, you need to stick with it, okay? There's going to be a million things that's happening out here, like, new frameworks, new languages, new libraries, new things that YouTubers and Twitter and TikTokers are posting online, right? There's going to be a whole bunch of things that is going to be a distraction for you, okay? But you need to focus on one main thing. You need to focus on something that's going to get you a job. You're trying to get into the game. Your goal is not to be a master of everything, to know everything. Your first initial goal is, how can I get into the tech industry? How can I get a job? How can I get paid for the skills that I have? How can I make sure that my time is maximized to the maximum? Okay? You don't have that much time. Some of you guys have kids. Some of you guys have families. Some of you guys work a full-time job. Guess what? The time that you do have to give to learning new skills, it should be about, how can I get this job? How can I learn skills that are related to this ecosystem that I chose? Now, how do I choose an ecosystem? It's very straightforward, okay? And this is something that I recommend for everybody. Stop doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. Stop going for the same stacks that you see everybody else talking about, okay? If you're seeing that everybody's talking about a specific stack, that's a red flag for you. That should be red flag number one, where you say, maybe I shouldn't want to go this way because everybody else is going the same route, which means more competition for me, which means that when I apply to a job position, guess what? There's probably going to be another 500, 1,000 people applying to the same position, and my portfolio might not even get seen, okay? The companies have options to go in and take their sweet time, a month, 2 months before they choose one candidate, right? Because they have so many people applying for the same role. So that's a red flag. You don't want to go that way, right? If everybody's going to the right, you need to go to the left so you could stand out, okay? Now, let's get into this one ecosystem. We're going to talk about the examples of doing it the wrong way and the right way, okay? And this is for you guys to succeed. If you are a developer, if you are somebody trying to get into the industry, this is something that you need to pay attention to. I can guarantee you that most of you guys have done this same mistakes. And this is why you go in and you look back and you're like, damn, I've been trying to get into the industry for the past year. I've been trying to get into the industry for the past 2 years, right? You're going to see that a lot of guys that have more than a year trying to get into the game, they've done this mistake. And I'm talking to you. Yes, you're watching this right now. Put it in the comment section. Just be honest with you and say, hey, I made that mistake. Okay? Trust me, there's going to be a lot of people leaving comments. I made that mistake. Okay? So let's get into it. The wrong way of doing this. Somebody comes in and says, hey, I want to become a developer. They come in and say, HTML, CSS, learn JavaScript. From JavaScript, they're seeing a tutorial, they're seeing a video online. Man, Unity, wouldn't it be cool to make some games, right? They were focusing on web development. Now they're jumping into Unity, okay? Now they're jumping into C#, right? Now they're going in from Unity, they're jumping into React. They're like, man, let me get back to React, right? Now from there, somebody talks about Python and machine learning. And then like, you know what, man, let me go and learn Python. Now, after doing that, they're like, okay, let me get back to web development, but let me go in and try to do it with Django. Now they're doing Django. But then they saw a video on YouTube that was trending and was popping up and say, hey, you should learn Flutter. All the good things about Flutter. Now you go in and switch to Flutter. Now this is mobile development. Okay, we're talking about you went from web development to game development to literally continue doing web development. Now you're doing mobile game development or mobile development in general. Then now you realize maybe that's not the route for you. Now you're coming back in and saying, I'm going to go back to Next.js, which is connected to React. Then from there you say, oh, let me go learn Node. Okay, from Node, somehow you saw another video from somebody, right, that was trending. You say, oh, Astro is the new framework. It's the new library, the new way of doing things. Next.js is old. We don't need to be worried about Next.js. Let's go and learn Astro. This is the future, okay? Let me future-proof myself, right? Now you're learning Astro, and then you say, man, React is old. React has been around for 5 years, almost 8 years. Like, come on, man. We need to focus on something more modern, right? Mind you, now you go in and jump into Solid.js. You're like, okay, let me go and learn Solid.js. Okay, from Solid.js, you saw a tutorial online, or maybe you saw one of those ads that show you, hey guys, you can become a, a freelancer, work from home, right? You could be, I don't know, a Shopify developer, right? You saw one of those ads, okay? Come sign up to our bootcamp. Then you say, okay, let me go in and learn about Shopify development. Okay, you go into Shopify development. Now you're like, this might not be it. This might not be the one for me. Now you're like, okay, let me go back to Godot, right? Another game engine. It's connected to Python. I could do GScript, which is similar to Python, right? I'm going to go in and I'm going to try this out. And then you realize, man, I can't find a job. And to get into the game of game development, like, it's kind of hard. Let me go back to web development. Let me go back into MongoDB now. You get what I'm saying? This is where you fuck up at. And I'm sorry to use profanity, but somebody got to tell you the truth. This is where you mess up at. This is where you really mess up. You're jumping into different things that are not related to each other, so you're constantly learning something new from scratch. That's the number one mistake that most of you guys are doing. You need to start using the skills that you already know and building upon them. Not going in and say, I'm going to learn this skill and then I'm going to learn something completely different. And then I'm going to learn something completely different. And then I'm going to come back to something that I already knew and then go and learn something completely different. You're jumping around too much. Okay? Your first goal should be, I want to get into the tech industry. I want to get into a job. Okay? So this is the wrong way of doing it. This is how most people have done it so far, and this is why they are not working right now. You guys know who you are. Yeah, I know how it is, right? I was there. I've been in that same situation. Trust me. One thing that I learned over time was one of my senior developers at the time when I was early stages, he told me, I was super excited back then, Node.js and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I was like, man, we was doing Ruby on Rails. And he's like, yo, Joe, you're jumping into too many different things and you're still a junior developer. You're jumping into too many different technologies, too many different languages, too many different frameworks, and you're not actually mastering any of them. Focus on one. Okay, focus on one ecosystem. You don't need to do everything. Once you have a job, once you're already in the game, once you have quote unquote master one ecosystem, then from there you can jump into other ecosystems, and it's so much easier because you are basically doing the same thing that you did on another ecosystem. But when you are a beginner, you need to really maximize that time on mastering those skills that you are having in that one ecosystem. Now, let me go in and give you guys the right way of doing it. And again, this is not a stack that I will say, hey, this is the one for you. You might have a different stack, but you need to focus on that ecosystem that you're in. Remember of those things that I told you. How do you choose a ecosystem? You got to make sure that if everybody's going to the right and everybody choosing that ecosystem or choosing that stack, you go to the left. This is one of them that I recommend to people, okay? For beginners. Remember that. This is for beginners. This channel is for beginners. This channel is not for the guy that already has a job. This channel is not for the guy that already has 3-5 years into the game, right? This is not for the senior developer. This channel is for the beginners to make sure that you guys succeed and that you guys get money in your pocket and that you guys have a good career in this industry, okay? So the right way of doing it is like this. And I'm going to show you why, because everything here is related to each other, okay? You come in, you learn HTML, CSS, you learn JavaScript. This is the basics. This is the trifecta of the front end. No matter what stack you're going to choose, this is what you need to learn first, okay? Because if you're working with websites, you need to learn how to build a website, okay? And how it works on the browser. So this is the trifecta. No matter where you go, this is what you need to learn, okay? Now, from there, you want to go and learn React. From there, you might say, okay, cool. I have enough knowledge on the front end that now I need to start putting in more things about the back end so I could really become a full stack developer and I can understand the whole ecosystem. So once we get to this point, we're going to go in and choose something like PHP, right? Everybody's going the Node.js route, which means that every time that you apply to a job position, there's going to be 500 to 1,000 people applying to the same job, okay? This is one of those things where like C#, Java, PHP, right? Those are basically programming languages that right now no one's really paying attention to. I've heard from multiple people that as soon as they start applying to job positions in this type of roles, they're getting callbacks, they're getting interviews. That means that people are actually looking at the portfolios and people are looking at the resumes. The hype stack is not a good place to go. This is why I recommend this one, okay? PHP, learn object-oriented programming. Once you learn the basic of PHP, learn how to use object-oriented programming with PHP. From there, what do you do next? Learn MySQL. You need to learn one database, right? From there, you might want to go in and jump into Laravel, okay? Once you learn Laravel and you understand the process of building one full stack application, you basically understand now how to do web development. That's it. Ta-da! You learn this right here, you're good to go. Okay, you can start applying to jobs and you can basically go in and show some real solid projects. But guess what? Once you start going to this route, you don't go in and say, well, let me go in and learn about Python. Let me go in and learn about Node.js. Let me go in and learn about iOS development. And maybe I could go in and learn Kotlin and learn about Android development. No, you don't want to be doing that. You want to come in and double down on what you already know. You already know Laravel? Cool. Jump into WordPress. You learn about CMS? Guess what? Jump into Drupal. You want to learn about e-commerce? Now you learn about Magento. Okay? You're using the same skills that you learn from here to here. Okay? Everything from HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, PHP, object-oriented programming, MySQL is the same thing that you're going to use in all of these other skills. You're not learning anything new. You're building upon what you already know. Okay? Come over here, learn Magento. From there, you want to go in and learn about NoSQL, right? So learn about MongoDB. Guess what? You might have to work with some APIs, some modern APIs, and you're going to have to know about GraphQL. Once you learn GraphQL, you want to jump into something that you could say, okay, cool, I know how to do e-commerce. I already know how to do full stack development. I understand the whole process from start to finish. Guess what? Let me jump into something that might not be as competitive, and I can reuse all of those skills, right? Shopify theme development is pretty much the same thing that you do with Laravel, right? Whenever you use Laravel Blade templates, it's pretty much the same thing what you do with Shopify theme development. So now you're building upon on things that you already know. You're not learning nothing new. You're building upon what you already know. From there, you want to come in and learn Shopify app development. Now you could go and build your own software as a service. Now you could go and build your own Shopify app to make side income. So again, let's say from here to here, you already got hired, right? Anywhere from, from HTML, CSS to WordPress, You already got hired. You got your first job. Now, that whole time, you're building upon the skills that you already have, and that's connected to what you already know. You get what I'm saying? You're not going in and relearning new things, because now you're actually saving time. You're basically building real projects, and you're actually going in and just being more active within that ecosystem, which is gonna, a year, 2 years later, is gonna help you become an expert in that ecosystem. And that's what you really want to do. Okay. Now, when you have your first job, okay, let's say you already got your job. That's when you come in and say 60% of the skills related to my job, right? This is what I'm going to be focusing on. So for example, let's say you came in and you learn PHP, you learn all this stuff, you build a portfolio, you got a full stack application with Laravel, you have a CMS website with WordPress. Now you get hired as a full stack developer, right? Maybe you got hired as a full stack PHP developer. Maybe you got hired as a Laravel developer. Maybe you got hired as a WordPress developer. Maybe you got hired as a front end developer. Sometimes people get this messed up and think that if I go this route, it's only to become a full stack developer. Now you could get hired as a front end, as a Laravel, as a WordPress, as a PHP developer. Because you went in the same route, you have like 4 or 5 different jobs you can apply to, different job titles, not just one single thing. But again, this is all part of web development. So once you have that first job, what do? You got to come in and have 60% of the skills that you are going to be learning when you get home, right? Because this is a never-ending situation, right? You're never going to stop learning. Always remember that. You're never going to stop learning, okay? So when you're working, you want to come in and let's say you got an hour, 2 hours out of your day that you could continue learning. When you get home, you want to put in 60% of the time to skills that are related to your job, right? 60% of that time to skills that are related to your job. Let's say in your company, you guys are using Laravel and maybe you guys are using Salesforce, right? For whatever reason, or maybe you guys are using, I don't know, HubSpot. Guess what? When you get home, learn more about HubSpot. Learn more about Salesforce, right? 60% of your time, okay? So if you got an hour, 2 hours, let's say 1 hour is going to be just for learning things about the job to make you a better developer. So when you come back to the job, you could hit the ground running. You come in and you're at a level that, people's going to be surprised. But like, damn, but this guy just came in and how much does he know? How he learned all these things? Damn, he's picking things so quickly. It's like, it's not that you're picking up things quickly. It's that you're actually putting in the time when you get home to learn more about that ecosystem and that stack that they're using. Okay. And skills that are related to that job position. Okay. Now, 40% of the time you can now use it for fun. You can go ahead and learn about Astro. You can go ahead and learn about Solid.js. You can go ahead and learn about Firebase. You can go ahead and even play some games. Try to create your own games on Unity. But now that you have a job, now that you already have experience at this company, you can go in and build whatever you want to build. Most of the time when you see guys that are here on YouTube, then they're creating like this cool projects and they're like creating some random shit like, oh, I connected or Arduino with a microphone and I connected it to my lights and I clap on, clap off, and my lights turn off and RGB lights is all over the place. When they're creating those cool projects, understand this. They're not beginners. They're not in the position as you. You're in a position where you're trying to get into the industry. These guys, they're already in the game. They have the luxury to come home and build whatever they want to build. They could build an arcade machine with, Raspberry Pi, and when they get home and they do all of that, or they want to come in and learn about a random language that no one uses, right? Let's say NIM or something like that, or I'm gonna go and learn Flutter even though I'm a web developer. Those guys, they can do that because they're already in the game. They have the luxury to be able to say, you know what, I'm already in, I'm already building experience, or I already have experience. I already got my house. I already have my crib. I have my kids taken care of. They have the luxury to do that. You as a beginner, you don't have that luxury yet. You're going to have that after you get your first job, after you're already in the game. So when you're coming in, you want to maximize your time, and you want to use your time to be productive and to build upon every skill that you already have. Every time that you learn a new skill, what can you do with that skill? HTML, CSS, what can I do with that? What type of job can I get with that? What can I build with JavaScript? And once I learn React, then from there I learn PHP, right? Object-oriented program, MySQL. Now I know how to do the full stack. What can I do with that? What type of jobs can I get with that? And continue building upon that. Don't go in and start learning random shit that's on the internet just because you see somebody else doing it. You have to understand these guys are already ahead of you. They're in a position where they can take those risks. They already could go in and say, I could learn whatever framework is out there, because at the end of the day, they already went through this process. 60% of the skills that they learned while they were still working at this company are related to work, and then 40% of the skills are for fun. Some of you guys come in and y'all think that the things that guys are doing for fun, it's what you need to be doing to impress other people, to say, oh, I'm doing advanced things, or I'm doing more modern things. That's cap. That's bullshit. Focus on the skills that you need to focus on. Focus on making sure that you succeed, and focus on the right way, guys. Don't do it like this. This is how guys stay here for 2 to 3 years and don't do shit. They got nothing to show for. This is how you come in and you see guys that get hired in 3-6 months, and then you be like, damn, how did they get hired in 3-6 months? They focus on the things that's gonna get them a job. They were focusing on ecosystems that there wasn't no competition in, that no one was paying attention to. People not paying attention to like enterprise things, right? They're not paying attention to things that are in the world of digital agencies, or let's say, for example, a small to medium-sized businesses. They're not focusing on that. They're focusing on the things that you might see a guy talk about. Hey, I'm working at Google. I'm working at Fang. I'm doing this and that. That's how they get you, guys. That's how they get you. And then you end up with 2 years of nothing to show for. Okay? So anyways, guys, again, you can choose whatever ecosystem you want. Just make sure that is, with those things that I told you. Is everybody going that way? If they are, that's probably a red flag for you to not do that. Okay? If everybody's learning the same thing, guess what? It's more competition for you. Less time for you to be able to get interviews. Okay? Another thing that I will say is make sure that it's something that has jobs. Do your research. It don't cost you nothing to come in and take a time and go right here. Like you could go in and search even on Indeed.com, right? Search right here and go and put in PHP, right? Or put title PHP, title colon PHP, and see how many jobs are out there specifically just for PHP. How many jobs are out there are actually mentioning PHP? 11,000. Guess what? That tells you that this is something that is worth learning. If you go in and you be like, well, I want to learn Astro, right? You go in and you're not going to find nothing. I want to go in and learn, what's it, NIM or NIM, Zim? Can't remember. One of those languages, right? Nobody's learning that. Nobody's using that, okay? Let's say this is something that was popular like years ago. Let me see, even this one. I mean, this one's good in a sense because this is something like very niche. Erlang, right? It's something very niche. Not a lot of people use it. So you're not going to find a lot of competition with this. So again, this is not that bad. Let me see what's the other one. This is like a language or a front-end framework that was popular a few years ago, right? But had no jobs. You go in and search Elm, right? There is no jobs for Elm, right? So it's like if you would have stopped in and said, hey, I'm going to learn Elm, you most likely wouldn't have gotten a job. Same thing like right now when you go and say, hey, I want to learn Solid. No one is hiring for Solid. right? Nobody's hiring for solid. And even if we go in solid JS, okay, you're not gonna find anything. You're gonna see solid understanding. It's a common keyword. Let's search solid JS. No one is hiring for this. Okay, so again, you gotta do your own research. It don't cost you nothing to do the research. All right, guys. So anyways, I'm gonna stop right here, and I'm gonna see you guys later. Make sure you go in to CodingPhase.com, guys. Go check the website out. We focus on getting people into the tech industry by using like real things that is actually attainable, things that you can touch. Like we can go in and focus on how to get into Google, how to get into Fang, this and that. But a lot of the times, guys, you're not going to get in as your first job. Your first job is going to be in a small company, medium-sized company, a digital agency, right? That's where the jobs are for junior developers. The Fang and all of that BS, that's all cap. Like people are getting into those job positions most of the time have 2 to 3 different jobs before they even get to Google, okay? Or they have a long history from high school to college on preparing for getting into those type of positions, either from internships to doing extracurricular projects and extracurricular activities. Like this is not something that you go in and be like, well, on your last semester, man, I would like to go to Google. That's not happening. Whoever tells you that is cap, okay? They're lying to you. This is how you actually get into the industry, going in, taking a more realistic approach, right? So CodingPhase.com, we don't teach coding as a hobby. We make sure that we go in and take care of you guys, give you things that you guys can actually get a job with, right? Shout out to the people in here, John D, Keshav, Zakwe, Wally, a lot of the guys that have gotten job opportunities, right? Definitely come in. Get started. Literally $20 you could get started with CodingPhase.com. Get the diamond membership, $375. That gives you all the programming courses, ASAP developer group coaching, live events, career bundles, right? The make money online courses, which are gems. How to actually go in and make money with the skills that you have on your own. So even though you could have a job, how do you make that extra side income with those skills? Okay. Or even when you don't have a job, how do you use the skills that you do have? How do you make income with that? Okay. So you don't have to wait until I get a job till then start making money. Like that's stupid. You could use your skills and put it to work for you. Okay. So anyways, that's what we focus on. CodingPhase.com, guys. Go check it out. I'll see you guys later. It's your boy Joe. Peace.